From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Friday, May the 17th, 2024. IDF spokesperson Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari issued a statement to the press this evening, saying that IDF troops, together with Israel's security agency, the Shin Bet, recovered the remains of 3 Israeli hostages in Gaza. Hagari said the bodies of the abductees, Yitzhak Gelerenter, Shani Luke, and Amit Buskila, were recovered tonight, Friday, in a joint operation by the IDF and Shin Bet. All 3 were at the Supernova Music Festival on the morning of October the 7th and were murdered by Hamas terrorists, their bodies kidnapped to Gaza. Last night, Hagari announced that the military had notified the families of 2 Thai national hostages that they were killed during the October 7th massacre, and their bodies also held by Hamas in Gaza. Sontaya Okarsar and Sudisak Rintalak had worked at Kibbutz Be'eri. An IDF soldier was killed in battle in Gaza today as intense fighting continues with terror group Hamas. He is 20-year-old Sergeant Ben Avishai. And the IDF announced the death yesterday of 39-year-old Sergeant Major in Reserve Ran Yavetz, killed, it said, in an operational accident on the border with Gaza. A rocket was fired from Gaza at the southern Israeli city of Sderot today. It was intercepted by the Iron Dome. And a massive barrage of rockets were fired today at northern Israel by terror group Hezbollah from Lebanon. The Times of Israel said that 2 people were lightly hurt in the attack. The IDF said approximately 75 launches crossed toward Israeli territory. Dozens were intercepted, saying Israeli fighter jets responded, hitting terror targets of Hezbollah, including destroying the launcher that fired the rockets today. 3 IDF soldiers were lightly hurt during confrontations with Jewish Israeli extremists who attacked a truck and its driver in the West Bank, mistaking it for a truck delivering aid to Gaza. The troops were called to the scene, where they treated the driver for moderate injuries and dispersed the extremists who responded to them with violence. The IDF said it condemns any manifestations of violence against its soldiers and the security forces and will act to the fullest extent of the law. The incident today follows a similar one yesterday. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan met on Wednesday with the ambassadors from 17 countries whose citizens were taken hostage by Hamas, from Argentina, Austria, Brazil, Bulgaria, Canada, Colombia, Denmark, France, Germany, Hungary, Poland, Portugal, Romania, Serbia, Spain, Thailand, and the United Kingdom. Discussing, the White House said, their collective call for Hamas to immediately release the hostages, who have now been held in Gaza for 224 days. Yesterday, an informal UN Security Council meeting was convened by the United States, held to focus completely on the taking of hostages on October the 7th, the first meeting of its kind, and demand the hostages' release. Hostage families and former hostages spoke alongside U.S. Ambassador to the UN Linda Thomas-Greenfield, who said the return of the hostages is a responsibility that U.S. President Joe Biden is committed to seeing through.
There must be no confusion. Taking hostages is cowardly. It's a cowardly tactic designed to instill fear, manipulate governments, and advance nefarious agendas. It violates basic principles of humanity, and it undermines the rights and dignity of those who are held hostage.
She also urged the Security Council to speak with one voice and unequivocally condemn the terrorist acts of Hamas on October the 7th, including the taking of hostages.
Let's be honest. The plight of these hostages has not received the attention that it deserves from the UN Security Council. That needs to change, and I hope today is the first step toward that goal. And we must not relent until all hostages are back home with their loved ones at long last.
An armed man set fire to a synagogue in Rouen, France today. Reportedly armed with a knife and an iron bar, the man threw a Molotov cocktail into the main sanctuary of the synagogue. And when he approached police, they opened fire. Rouen Mayor Nicolas Mayer-Rossignol said that the synagogue suffered extensive damage, but that nobody was injured. He said, when we attack the Jewish community, we attack the national community. When we attack France, we attack all French citizens. And French Interior Minister Gérald Darmanin called the incident despicable, saying this anti-Semitic act in Rouen affects us all. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Friday, May the 17th. Live Shabbat services are coming up at 6 o'clock from New York City's Central Synagogue, followed by Shabbat services from the Hampton Synagogue. At 8:30, Justin Pines speaks with Rabbi Zev Reichman about the influence of Rabbi Abraham Isaac Kook. At 9:30, Abigail Pogrebin speaks with Daphne Laser-Price to talk about her recent trip to Israel. At 10, David Harris speaks with an IDF reservist who shares her powerful experiences after being mobilized on October the 7th. At 10:30, it's a replay of the Hampton Synagogue services, followed by a replay from Central Synagogue. And coming up next, it's a look at this week's Torah Portion. And that's the JBS News Update for Friday, May the 17th, 2024. I'm Teisha Bader. Shabbat Shalom. Am Yisrael Chai.